Welcome to InFocus. I'm Kyle McCormick. We have a very special guest this week. He is the Director General of the World Trade Organization, Pascal Lamy. Mr. Lamy has held that position since 2005. Previously, from 1984 to 1994, he served as the Chief of Staff to Jacques Delors, the President of the European Commission. It was during this period that he gained a reputation as a master of bureaucracy, able to effectively control the civil servants beneath him. He also has experience as a banker when he helped privatize the French bank Crédit Lyonnais in the late 1990s. Mr. Lamy recently visited campus to give a lecture on the benefits of multilateral trade to the United States. I spoke with him about the financial crisis and the political environment in America. I also asked him about the WTO's Doha round of trade talks, which recently collapsed last July due to, among other things, disagreement over agricultural trade policies. Take a look. Mr. Lamy, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Appreciate your time. I want to ask you first about the Doha round of talks. I'm sure it didn't, there was not as much progress made as you would have hoped. Going forward in the next couple of years, what are the chances of reaching an agreement?
Well, my sense is that it's perfectly doable. Given where we are now, since July, even if July didn't exactly got us where we wanted to be, I mean, we've done to 85% of the way. So what remains to be done is 15% of the whole of what has to be done. Now, whether this is doable, say, next year or not, remains to be seen, but I think even before the end of this year, we could try and close a number of issues which had remained open in July. So, certainly not for the end of this year for the conclusion of the round, but next year is something which I believe is doable.
Right. If you were to sit down with congressional leaders and Barack Obama, what would be your one biggest piece of advice to them?
I think, first, trade policy in the U.S. has always been a bipartisan issue. There is no piece of legislation on trade that has been passed with the Republicans and not the Democrats, or with the Democrats and not the Republicans.
But the Democrats have been very much more skeptical of it. Are you concerned about that?
Yes, for a number of reasons. Their position is that they care about the impact which trade opening and globalization has had on a number of American citizens. And I think there's a truth in that. So if I had a sort of advice, I would say look at Sweden. They've always been in favor of open trade. They don't fear open trade, and the reason why they don't fear open trade is because they have domestic solid systems.
The WTO is, you're very well aware, has been criticized a lot in that it favors the interests of developed countries over developing countries. How do you respond to that?
I respond to that in helping WTO members to conclude a development round. We have 3/4 of our membership who are developing countries. They've put together an agenda so that existing trade rules, some of which I agree do not work well for them, are changed. And this is why we need to conclude this negotiation. This is why we need farm trade distorting subsidies to be slashed down. This is why we need peak tariff on textile and clothing to go down. This is why we need proper rules on things like anti-dumping or fisheries subsidies.
You must have one of the most stressful jobs in the world. What is the most frustrating thing that you have to deal with? I'm not that frustrated. If I really was frustrated, I wouldn't be in this position. But the reality is that it's difficult to make sure that 153 members of this organization, who are very different in their size, their level of development, their cultures,
to agree on these global rules which we need.
Mr. Lamy, thank you so much for
My
joining
pleasure.
us. Thank you very much.
Good.
All right.
Well, that's it for this edition of InFocus. Special thanks to Pascal Lamy for speaking with me. Join in next Friday for another edition, and in the meantime, stay focused.